Welcome back everyone to Blender and Unreal Engine, becoming a dungeon prop artist, and this is where we left it off. Now before we continue, we need to bring in a few more actual materials. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this cube here, and I'm going to duplicate it, so Shift D, duplicate it again, Shift D, and duplicate once more. So there we go. Alright, we might need one more actually, we'll just see. Now, the first one I want to bring in is my actual gemstone colors. So we've got three here. We've actually got, let's have a look, 1, 2, 3, 4 gemstones. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So Shift D. And then what we're going to need is 2 gold, one of them being a trim sheet, which we will discuss shortly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab 2 of these. I'm going to press Shift D again. I'm going to bring them out like so. All right, so now let's come to this one, and this will be the first one we do. So let's have a look at our actual download pack. So if I come to my download pack, which is this one here, and we'll go to the textures. And the ones we're looking for are these here. So Dungeon Gem Blue, Dungeon Gem Red, and all the way down. And then we've got Dungeon Gold. And finally, we have one that's called Dungeon Gold Decals, and this one being the trim sheet. So let's bring in the trim sheet first. So what I'll do is I'll come to this one here. I'll minus this off and I'll create a new one. And we'll call it Gold Trim Sheet. Like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into the shading panel. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, because this is gold, it doesn't really actually need the ambient occlusion on it. So let's come in and grab the principle, Control Shift and T, and then let's bring it in. So I'm just going to come to this one here where it says trim sheet, and then what I'll do is I'll show you this in detail what it actually is. So let's double click it and let's go and grab all these ones here. So I'm going to grab the OpenGL and the bottom one here. And I'm not going to bother with the ambient occlusion in this one. I'm going to click Principled Textures, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this onto my Cycles render engine, and you should end up with something like this. It looks kind of weird. Now I'll explain what this is. So if we go over to our UV editor, open it up, and we'll see that this is the actual basic trim sheet. So basically just the texture is on here, no metallic or anything like that. Now what you can see is that we've got a pattern going across, a pattern underneath. You can also see that we've got a pattern going across here and a pattern down the bottom. And basically what these are is, these are similars only in a horizontal way. So what you can do is you can take your mesh and you can basically use it as a trim sheet where we actually line this up on the top of the gobbler and basically have it wrapped around it. That is how they're supposed to work with trim sheets. Now with trim sheets, you can actually get away with having 3, 4 materials going all the way down, and it's just that it's only seamless going this way. So that's why they're called trim sheets. Now you do have another kind of texture which is called atlases, and atlases basically are a UV which is broke up into, let's say, 6 squares or something like that, and you basically take your mesh UVs and put it over whichever square that you want to. Okay, so now we've discussed that, let's actually go back to modeling. Shading, and what we'll do is we'll bring in our others. So now I'll bring in the normal gold as well. So if I grab this one here, I'm going to minus this off, new, let's call it gold, like so. And again, I'm not going to bring in my ambient occlusion. So I'm going to go down, and what I'm looking for is Dungeon Gold. And then I'm going to bring these in, like so, bring in my principle, and there we go. So that's our gold. We can see it's got just about the right amount of roughness and metallic on it. You can see that it's not too shiny, and it actually looks like gold. All right, so now let's come to the next one. And the next 4 we're going to bring in are basically going to be our rubies and gems and things like that. So let's come to the first one. I'm just going to, I'll actually minus this off, press new, and we'll call it Gemstone Red. I'm just going to call them all gemstone just so we don't get confused. So gemstone red. Let's again come to our principled, Control Shift T, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go back, and I'm looking for the one that says Dungeon Gemstone Red, like so. And we have got an opacity in here, same as the gold, but this opacity we can actually use. So if I come in and I select all of these, like so, click on my principled, and there we go. Now we can, as I say, use this opacity. So let's just hide these 2 out of the way, just so you can see what I'm actually doing. At the moment, you will see that we can't actually see through this. It's just the reflection. Let's also bring back on our floor. So we're going to bring back on our floor. Where's my floor? Let's go down. So we've got iron ore, material plank. There we go. So I'm just going to hide those two out of the way. And now we should be left with something like this. And let's then just click on our red gem. And now all I want to do to actually make this slightly see-through is I'm just going to grab both of these. I'm going to move them over to the right-hand side. I'm going to come in now. So Shift A, and we're going to come down and search for RGB curves. So just put in curves, and then you'll have one that says RGB curves. And it's a really, really great node to use on lots and lots of different things. But now if I come in and I grab the middle of this and pull it down all the way down here, you will see that, hey presto, it's actually see-through. Now, of course, this is a gemstone, so we don't actually want it to be so see-through. We just want it to be slightly see-through. So if I bring it up, you can just bring it down now and just make sure that it's just, you can see that it's probably still a little bit too much. We don't actually want it that see-through. So I'm going to put it here. I'm going to bring it up very, very slightly, like so, maybe a little bit more. Like so, and that should be absolutely fine. And that looks more natural, as you can see, for a gemstone or something like that. All right, so that's that one. Now, what I need to do is I need to actually keep this. So I'm going to press Ctrl-C and just copy it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to now bring in my blue one. So I'll come here and I'll call this gemstone blue. So new gemstone blue. And then what I'll do is I'll come to my principal, click on my principal, Ctrl-Shift-T, and then let's come in and we're looking at gemstone blue. So we've got a white and yellow. So I'm just going to remember that as well. So gemstone blue, let's bring in all of these, the OpenGL, the roughness, like so, bring them in. And there's my blue one. Let's pull this over, like so. And now let's sort out the opacity. So Ctrl-V, drop my curve in, like so. And we should be able to get a little bit of see-through. So I'm just looking there. It's not quite as much as this one, so let's have a look if I bring this one down. That's maybe way too much. Maybe down a little bit more. I think the colours actually, there we go. Something like that I think looks absolutely fine. All right, so now we should have white and we should have yellow. So if I grab, in fact, if I press Alt-H, because we've got those cubes here, so we'll have gemstone white. So I'm going to minus this one off. New gemstone white, and then we'll have this one, and I'll also do this one at the same time. So new, and we'll call this gemstone yellow, like so. And we've also got another one which is going to be, let's have a look. So we've got gold, red. Actually, that is all of them. So we've got 2 golds there and our gemstones. All right, so let's come to this gemstone first. This is the gemstone white. Grab a principal, Ctrl-Shift-T, and let's find the white one, which is this one here. And we're just going to Control-click all of these ones, grabbing them. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that normal over there, Ctrl-V, and just drop this one in. And then just going to go down and have a look at this. And we can see that that's really nice and see-through. So it's to do with the color, how see-through it actually is. All right, so now let's come to this one here. And this is the gemstone yellow. Exactly the same thing. So Ctrl-Shift-T. And you can see actually doing them in a row like this actually makes it much, much quicker. So this is the yellow one. So clicking on all of these like so. And then just moving them over there. Pressing Ctrl-V and bring in the curve in. Let's have a look how much we've got on there. Maybe we need to bring this one down just that. Yeah, that should be enough there. We just make through there. All right, double tap the A, and there we go. Now let's add these to our actual asset manager. So we'll come in, we'll grab this one, markers asset, markers asset, markers asset, and just keep going down there, marking them as asset. And I'd like to keep up to date with these, and that's why I'm actually doing this. And then what I'll do is I'll come to my asset manager, and we'll go to all, and then we've got all of these gemstones now. So you can see all of these gemstones. I think I'm missing one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, not. That's all of them except that one. All right, let's put them into our materials, and there we go. There's all our materials now. There's all of our props, and that's actually done. All right, everyone. So on the next one, what we'll do is we'll start, I think, on the actual plate. That's the easiest part to start with, just a silver plate. And then we'll create the gemstones and finally moving on to the actual goblet with the trim shoes. I'm just going to go off and save my work, and I'll see you on the next one, everyone. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.